Okay.
Okay. We should be live. I think we're live. Yeah. Actually, just a minute or so before the show. Please bear with me. Beverly, mute.
Live out loud.
I think we're live. Yeah. Actually, just a minute or so before. That helps too. Yes, indeed. Bit of a loop back there. Apologies for that. Yeah, we'll be up in a couple of minutes, guys. All right. I'm just patching in my guest. God bless you. All right. Here's to a good show. One, two, da di da da. Oh, oh, seems to be working. Hello. Oh, look at that. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. We'll be right with you. Hold on. Daily Brexit live at 5 Tuesdays and Thursdays. Daily Brexit coming up shortly. Live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. Live at 5 Tuesdays and Thursdays. Daily Brexit, yes, coming up soon. Daily Brexit. One, two, da di da da. Oh, oh, seems to be working. Hey folks. Seat of our pants. This is the Daily Brexit. I'm Olly Connelly. Hello. And today's show, antisocial. We've got mom of three, Jemma Greasley here, and her story suggests that we cannot trust our state with the family. She claims interference, intimidation and incompetence from Britain's many-tentacled social services. We're going to talk about that. You can join us too, and please do. Questions, suggestions, corrections, addendums. We've got comments on the show, on the Facebook post. Damn handy. Please get him there. Let's have a conversation. Or you can call me on Skype, Olly Connelly. And we've got Reece Coombes here too, our UKIP stringer. Yeah, he's going to tell us all the latest on the leadership bid. And I think one of those guys quit just today, yeah? So it's all go, isn't it? Blimey, it's all go. I'll tell you what, that's enough of that. Okay, Reece, are you there? Bless you.
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, Reece Coombes. God bless you. From kipessential.com. Became our stringer. Very, very kind. This is the first sort of string you've done, Reece, yeah? Good to have you on the show, mate. What is the deal? I understand that Bill Etheridge has pulled out saying, is Farage or bust? Is that right, or have I got that wrong?
Well, I wouldn't quite say that. I mean, Bill Etheridge, right at the start of the campaign, said pretty much from day one he wanted to stand. But he thinks Farage will be the best person, and he would stand if Farage didn't stand, essentially.
I'll tell you what, Reece, bear with me one sec. Let's hear what he says, because I've got it right in front of me. We might as well.
There are a couple of candidates in this election who would take the party in a completely different direction.
Oh, blimey. I'm sorry.
Can often make the political weather.
There you go.
I don't want to see us going down a dark alley. There are so many other candidates, from my point of view and persuasion, and although maybe some people would say I was one of the front runners, I don't believe that I had the power on my own to win.
So basically, he's concerned. So basically, Reece, he's concerned that the party's going to end up with Marianne Waters, yeah?
Anne-Marie Waters, yeah. So he's very much on the libertarian wing, and he thinks the anti-Islam line isn't right, and it isn't going to win votes.
Well, what's it got to do with Brexit, actually? I mean, it has to be said that, I mean, from my point of view, it seems to me we've got to sort Brexit. Anything else that is a distraction, we know damn well he's right. It's going to be used against the party. It's going to be used against Brexit. It's almost as though Anne-Marie Waters, bless her, is like an establishment candidate. because she would very, very possibly completely ruin UKIP, as Farage has said. And then where does UKIP go? Well, basically everybody. It's just a total anti-Brexit message. I mean, he's got a point, no?
I think Anne-Marie Waters, I wouldn't go as far as saying she's an establishment candidate, but in some ways
No,
she would help
fair
the
enough.
establishment.
You
Because
understand,
I think-
though? Exactly. That's right. Yeah, carry on.
I mean, for Brexit, so obviously she supported it, but so far as I can tell, it's not a big motivation for her. And in fairness, she sees it as something that's over. She wants to take the party a different direction. However, I think while we've not got Brexit, that does need to be one of many key concerns for us. And she doesn't, in my opinion, talk about it enough.
She's not worried about
that it
Brexit?
is
What's she
attention.
doing? What's she doing there if she's not worried about Brexit?
Well, I mean, I think for her there are bigger issues, and those like Islam, for example, that she thinks are. And
What
she
could be
thinks
bigger
people
than
are fed up
Brexit
with
right now? As history stands, what could be a more important consideration for UKIP?
For me, nothing. I think Brexit is the biggest thing. We have to talk about more than just Brexit, and perhaps Islam could be one of those things. But at least for the next year or two, while we haven't got Brexit, Brexit does need to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, concerns for us, because it's such a big issue, and ultimately we're the only party actually willing to do anything about it. And
If we don't
Farage
sort
actually went as far
Brexit,
as
we're not going to
saying-
sort anything. If we
Exactly.
can't even sort out what has been, what decreed through a referendum, if we can't even sort that out, then we have no hope. We have no democracy. We might as well just flush the UK down the toilet in terms of democracy.
Yeah, I mean, if Brexit doesn't happen, like Farage has said, it can end in one of two ways. One, there will be a democratic revolt, and the people will stand up and vote. Maybe UKIP, maybe a new party. Who knows? They will vote for someone who's actually going to do it. Or two, if the democratic revolt doesn't work, there'll be another form of revolt, and that's what I worry about.
Civil strife. I agree with you. It's been mentioned by Jacob Rees-Mogg. It's been mentioned by other people as well. It's been mentioned by Farage, who said that he'd get his car key on. And by the way, so will I. And I think a lot of people will. It's quite incredible. Reece, I want to go through just a few other stories with you. It's really good to have you on the show, man. This is great. This is awesome to be able to do this. We are our very own stringer from UKIP. God bless you. So I want to go through a few other stories with you briefly. I mean, one thing that is apparent to me, it is actually the same story, but it's beginning to be the case now that this story about Anne-Marie Waters and her ex-BNP pal, who is kind of, her campaign pusher-upper, whatever, they're now on the front page of the British press. UKIP, leadership hopefuls campaign helped by ex-BNP member. That's on the front page of The Guardian. This is a taste of things to come if this is the direction that UKIP goes in, no?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Anne-Marie Waters, the biggest problem with Anne-Marie Waters, for me and for a lot of people, is her past and the people she surrounds herself with. Perhaps not even herself. The way it's she helped to set up Pegida. She worked a lot with Tommy Robinson. She worked a lot with, like you say, her campaign manager, Jack Buckby, who is former BNP. And a lot of her, I'd say most of her online supporters are either ex-BNP EDL, whatever, or current BNP EDL. And I think that is a huge problem because UKIP and Farage especially have spent so many years trying to stop that, to the extent we've actually banned anyone from having anything to do with the party if they've ever, even for a day, been in one of those organisations like National Front, BNP, EDL. And now all of a sudden we've got a leadership candidate who potentially, I think even though unlikely, could win, who's got a campaign manager who's ex-BNP, that goes against everything this party has ever stood for. And some are even suggesting it's enough that she shouldn't be allowed to stand. I wouldn't go that far myself.
You've got a big question to ask yourselves here. I'm going to ask you one or two other things briefly, Reece. So, for example, we've got the Telegraph saying the EU have threatened to suspend Brexit talks unless Britain pays its divorce bill. Why don't we just say, present us with your signed off audit? Not just that nonsense that you've been putting out there in the ether, pretending it is some kind of an audit. If it hasn't been signed off by somebody who's willing to go to prison if they lied, if it hasn't been signed off by an accountancy company or what have you, it ain't worth anything. Why don't we just tell them, present us with the audit, and then we'll work out what we owe you?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Stuart Agnew made this point amazingly well. Because what he said was actually, if anything, if anyone owes anyone money, the EU owes us money. We still own, it might be wrong, I believe it's 14% of EU assets, i.e. the buildings, the various...
The wine cellar.
They've got money invested in. We own all of that. They've got everything they own. Britain has a part of that. And actually, if the EU is so wonderful like they say, then surely the EU doesn't need money from us. The EU owes us money. You know, and actually we've put a lot more in. I think it's about 500 billion more than we've got out. Why
the fact is, they know they're going to get tits up when they haven't got our money, don't they? That's the problem. They know they once they run out of, once the cash cow's gone, that's it. That's it. And they're going to have to start taxing Europeans, and then Europeans are actually going to find out what the EU really is and what they have to pay for it.
Exactly. I mean, if you look at it at the moment, Greece and Italy have already had to start paying the downfalls of the EU, because that's what the EU do. As soon as they run out of money, they find a country they can say is having an economic crash, put all the costs on them, and then everyone else is all right. But that's not fair. That's not fair on the Greek people. It's not fair on the Italian people. And it's not fair on every other country they're going to do it to when Britain leaves to make up for that money. It's ridiculous. And I think, like you say, we will see people actually realise the truth. What's going on here? When Britain leaves, the EU will run out of money, and the EU will have to start taking money from other places, and especially to fund stupid things like this EU army and they're now building another EU parliament because the two they've got aren't good enough. And it's just ridiculous that they're going to run out of money and they're going to bankrupt every single country except France and Germany at this rate.
Meanwhile, just another couple of stories to throw in this kind of newsy segment, which I think is much better, actually, with you, Reece, I've got to say, than when I'm trying to, just do it on my own. The EU is trying to force Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic to accept refugees. We know all that. That story continues to develop. Meanwhile, Poland is getting increasingly incensed about this, and so is Orban in Hungary. And this is a story that is growing and growing. And meanwhile, what's going on in Italy is I'm just waiting to see some pretty nasty violence going on in a place like Italy now, actually, I have to say, Reece. I mean, it seems to me we're on the brink of things blowing up here, because it's just ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I think the EU have made a couple of gestures towards trying to stem the migrant crisis. Haven't we banned the sale of rubber dinghies to Libya or something like that? I mean, that's about it. That's basically what the EU's done here, yeah. So people continue to die, and on the other hand, if they do get there, then of course it upsets the locals. You know, I mean, it's bad. It's bad all round. This is a bad.
For the EU, this migration is not a crisis for them, because every single one of these refugees that come over, the statistics of them supporting the EU is unbelievably high compared to the people who are already in that country.
Right.
So for them, it just strengthens their political union. It strengthens their wages. It strengthens their personal wealth. It strengthens is the EU. It doesn't strengthen the people of the EU. It
doesn't strengthen our wages, does it?
No, exactly. It just destroys everything about Europe except the EU, and that's their principle. They care. They're in this organisation. They're on their 170 grand a year salaries, earning more than the president of America, and then you think, well, these people support us. Let's let more of them in.
I've said it before. I've said it again. I'll say it again. We got to stop bombing these people out of their houses. We've got to start thinking. I'll tell you, the money that we give the EU, let's give it to Syria and accept that we were in the wrong and try and give those people their communities back. You know what? That, at least for me, would be a moral use of that money, as opposed to at the moment we're just pissing it down the drain for some big boys corporate club. It just makes Reece. Yes. Okay. Last story. James Dyson in The Spectator is saying, if Brexit talks fail with the EU, it's no big deal. The tech entrepreneur and Britain's biggest farmer says we will almost certainly, I didn't know he was a farmer, says we will almost certainly have to walk away from talks with Europe and rely on WTO rules. And he says, I'm very confident in our ability to negotiate trade deals outside Europe with da-da-da-da-da-da. And Reece, the bottom line is that we're getting great signs, for example, from the United States. I mean, okay, maybe we should label their chlorine chicken so that people don't eat it. But the bottom line is that it's not so difficult to label if we want to label and educate our people on what's good and what isn't good to eat. The fact is, we're getting folks that want to do trade with us, and the EU, I imagine, are pretty annoyed.
Yeah. mean, if you look at Trump, EU still, after what, 40 years at least, does not have a trade deal with America. We actually, there's extreme protectionism actually, because we can't sell beef to America because of various illnesses and diseases that have taken over cows across, not taken over, but have affected cows across Europe. We can't trade beef with America. They've never affected us. Not once has that illness touched us. But because of what's happening in Europe, America has to either stop it all or stop none of it, and they've decided to stop it all, which has harmed our farming. They've never affected us. Not once has that illness touched us.
My fault, Reece. Carry on.
Sorry?
Carry on. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all still here. We should actually be more concerned. There was another story this week, the same day as the chlorine chicken, fiasco hits the press. The other story was the fact that they have found plastic nanoparticles in the body, in the flesh of fish that we're catching out of the sea now. So this is actually in the food chain. It's in our food chain. I would have thought that if you had a choice between a story about, revolting farming production methods or a poisoned food chain, I would have thought that it was pretty obvious which one you should talk about. But then, when was the last time you saw a story about Fukushima? I mean, or how many have you seen, considering they're now releasing that radioactive cooling water into the ocean? It's just incredible. Our media is at an all-time low. They've been found out, and they're not trying to put the situation right. What do you think about that, Reece?
Well, I think that in everything that happens, the media just do not report the truth. They report all these lovely things people want to hear about, and not the truth. But if people knew the truth, I mean, that's why the news don't report it. If people knew the truth, they wouldn't watch the news because it'd be too depressing. And if you look at what's going on across Europe, there's Antifa marches blowing up. I watched a video this morning from a right-wing YouTuber, and it was a video of I'm going to say anti-fascists, but they're not really anti-fascists, let's face it. And they were walking through the street, kicking over all the bins, cutting through the glass smashing the glass of the buildings. And literally, they set fire to one building, put a bomb on every single car they walk past. They are absolutely evil. They are terrorists, and they're doing the same as what all terrorists do. Yet for some reason, they're not reported on. Why is that? Is it because they're less evil? Is it because they're doing less harm? No, it's because they're anti-fascist, supposedly. So that makes it all right.
Yes. Reece, I tell you what. I don't know about you. I had a bit of a rant there. I feel a bit calmer now. But thank you. God bless you, mate. I tell you, I was so chuffed that you're on the show with us. I really am. Reece Coombes, everybody. Thank you.
If I may say one more thing.
You can. Yes. Sorry, you actually asked me to ask you something. He asked me to ask him something, and I didn't. I forgot because he asked me about 3 minutes before the show. Reece, you've got to ask me. You've got to give me more notice, please. Yes. What was it you had to say?
Sorry about that. So tomorrow is Kipper Central's first birthday. It's 28th of July. It was launched then.
Go on.
Thank you. It was launched then last year, and to celebrate, we have got a very, very big announcement tomorrow.
Right.
I should imagine it'll be in the evening at some point. If you check Kipper Central's Facebook page or the website, at some point tomorrow, we will have the biggest announcement we have ever made on the website.
Blimey.
Be sure.
Well, Farage is going to join the leadership.
Oh, I wish.
Oh, thank you very much indeed, Reece Coombes. Thank you very much. KipperCentral.com. Big announcement tomorrow. And please post it up on the Daily Brexit page too, Reece, or send it to me and I will. And,
definitely will.
That's Reece Coombes. Yeah, super bloke. And we're chuffed to have him on the show, which is basically me, because nobody else cares, apart from you lot. And okay, all right. Okay, now, I've been putting it off a bit, I admit. I don't know that this is going to be a particularly easy interview, yeah. But I've got a mum of 3 on the show today, Jemma Greasley, who I think is very brave to come on here. And I hope she's here. I hope after all this she is here. She's going to tell us a bit of a harrowing story and about the relationship of the parent with the various agencies of the social services in the UK, and I don't know where this is going to go, to be honest with you. But we're going to have a good in-depth chat with Jemma. I'm just going to try and encourage her as best I can, and try and be fair also towards social services, but as best I can, who I did invite on the show, by the way, and who I've heard nothing from. But I've tried to balance this, but quite frankly, I just want to hear from Jemma first of all, and we'll take it from there. Jemma,
Hi.
you're there, my dear. Hello, Jemma. Are you there?
Yeah, say hello. Hi.
Hey. Right. So, thank you for coming on this show. I understand that you're based in Rochdale. That you are I know of you because of Billy Lecky Howarth and indeed Christopher Baxter, who both have been championing your cause. Jemma, what exactly is your cause? Can you give us a? I'm just going to let you run with it, my dear. Jemma, you all right? Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Yeah.
This is a dodgy old line. We can work it out. Is it me? Nope. Go on.
Yeah, I've been fighting diagnosis and help for my daughter.
Now hold on a sec. This is a terrible line. I can't hear you. This is very, very bad. We're going to have to try and work this out. I want us to be able to hear Jemma, yeah. So what I'm going, don't worry, Jemma. I will. Sometimes it helps if I call you back. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end this call and I'm going to call you back, and we're going to try and get this right because it's important. It's important. If you can't hear your guests, then there's no point in them being on. So let's see if we can do that. Okay. I'm actually calling Beverly Taylor King's Skype because Gemma's using Beverly's machine. Jemma, are you there?
Yeah. Gemma's using my computer, but she kept breaking up on it, didn't she?
She did. It was. I couldn't tell. You actually sound a lot better there, Beverly. I mean, just make sure that we're all good and close to our microphones and.
Yes.
And we'll take it from there. But we'll have another go. And
right.
Jemma, you can hear me? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Jemma, what's your story?
Can you hear her?
No. I can hear you. Why can I hear you and not her? This is the wrong way around.
Can you hear?
I can hear you, yeah.
I would like Jemma to be a lot closer to the microphone so that we can all hear her.
Right, she's going to have to do it on this phone then, isn't she? Just hold on. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Hi there.
Hey, Jemma, how are you?
We got through. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, my dear. It was terrible audio. I wanted to get that right because, hey, now
I'm very sorry.
I can hear you now. That's all right, don't worry. If you've got video and you want to share it, we can put that on, but we don't have to. Quite frankly, it's entirely up to you.
No, that's fine.
Most importantly, what is the story? Just from the very beginning, this relationship that has gone awry with social services.
Well, initially, social services were formed when my daughter had an accident at home. There was a door going to fall on her head, so my boyfriend at the time pushed her out of the way. She ended up with a slight mark on her nose.
Your daughter was injured through a door falling.
She was.
Okay.
Yes. She was pushed out of the way, so it didn't fall on her. Right. So consequently, with her being pushed out of the way, she's fell on the carpet of the landing, and she's ended up with a little burn mark on her nose from the carpet.
Sure.
Social services were involved. They believed my story. Well, it weren't a story; it was the truth. My daughter confirmed it. There was no further action. In between these, I had problems with my daughter's behaviour.
When was that, Jemma? That was a few years ago, yeah?
A good few years ago. She was in the beginning of primary school, year 3.
3 years ago?
No,
okay.
She was in year 3 at school, at primary school.
Right. It was about 2014 when that happened.
No, it was before then. This is set way before then. You've just got the past 3 years.
Okay, so I'm just trying to work out how long this saga's been going on. That's all.
This You're sorry, this has been going on since she was in primary school. So you're talking at least the ages of 9 when it first started.
And your daughter is now how old?
She's 14. She'll be 15 in October.
Okay, so we're talking about 6 years of. Okay, carry on, please, carry on. So they came along and they said, "This looks fine." Okay, they didn't do anything.
Yeah, they didn't do anything. But my daughter's behaviour, she tended to show behavioural signs. What they told me at the time was autistic tendencies. Like she couldn't deal with change very well within school. She'd act up. She'd potentially destroy the classroom, disturb it so the kids couldn't learn. And I was told to go to my doctors and refer her to CAM service, which is Healthy Minds. From then, we went there. They dismissed us and said,
Healthy Minds. Healthy Minds.
Healthy Minds. It's a CAM service for young children.
Okay.
It's where they can do tests. They have psychologists. They can test for ADHD, ADD, Asperger's, anything like that at all. It's linked through the NHS.
Right.
I've done this numerous times over these years. Now, as she was going towards high school, we got a group involved. It was a youth offending team service, and it helped to do the transition from primary school to high school because they were worried that she wouldn't be able to cope with it. We got her through that okay and managed all right. But her behaviour then tended to outburst at home, shall we say, rather than at school.
Right.
Now, when she had them in primary school, they made her a calm box, and it had candles in it, scents in it. It even had an egg timer in it. Now, she knew she was allowed to take that out. It was called a calm box. If she felt she was getting angry, she could take herself away for 10 minutes, calm down and come back. But she had to come back to the lesson.
Okay.
And the deal, and it worked. It worked well, and it stopped her from having the outbursts in the classroom.
Right.
She used to go, she used to get the box, she used to sit on the reading carpet, and inside the box was an egg timer. Now, it had 5 minutes either way. She could turn it once, and then after finding out she's turned it once, she had to put it away and go back to class, and it worked. It didn't start to work in high school because she didn't have one, even though they've done all the transition periods with her. And she started having outbursts at home rather than at school. Now, when she was starting to have the outbursts at home rather than school, there was nothing wrong with her. She was hormonal. That's all I kept getting told. She was hormonal. There was nothing wrong. My argument at the time was, what is the difference? If she is doing it at school and not at home, you're telling me she's fitting on the autistic spectrum and you were testing her. When she is doing it at home and she is not doing it at school, she's hormonal, and it's the breakdown in the relationship between me and her, and it's my fault, which I weren't going to accept.
Okay, just how do you? You know what? I haven't got kids, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the reasons, to be honest with you, that I don't have kids, and this is the God's honest truth, is because I don't trust the state.
I'm beginning to not trust myself, to be honest.
I know that sounds like a pretty, I don't know, dramatic thing to say, or for somebody who was considering these things before having the normal age when you have kids. But I was a
young mum. I was 18. I was a young mum. Her dad decided not to be around, and I worked 4 jobs at 18. I had my own flat, and I worked every day to get her the things that I provided. I work for my living, and I get it. But what I need is, when I'm asking for help, I don't need people coming after the fact when I've already dealt with the problem and they don't want to help me when it's happening.
Gemma, can I just ask you first of all, because I have heard all sorts of horror stories about social services over the years. Yeah. How do they? It just seems to me that we seem to have this epidemic with kids that are, you've got ADSD, you're autistic, you're a problem child. I mean, are kids just kids?
I understand this. I understand.
Go on. Yeah, go on.
Sorry for butting in. I do understand it, and I've got my own personal opinion, and I have voiced this opinion with them. I believe, and I know they're doing the right thing. They believe every child should have a voice, and I understand that because there's children out there that are being abused, and I get that. But what I'm also getting is, you've took the power away from the parents, and now my daughter knows when they're turning around and going, your mum can't smack you. My daughter's kicking off more, knowing I can't touch her. I can't ground her, she's out the door because there's nothing I can do. She knows I can't do anything and my hands are tied. And while we're like this, we're not getting the problem solved. Now, my deal was stop pushing me from pillar to post with my child. Deal with the problem lying underneath, whatever issue she has. And I have said this from her being 2 years old. Please deal with the problem, because you're just putting a plaster over the crack. And while you're doing that, it is still fizzing underneath and nothing is going to change. And until these people do their job, it is not going to change, because I am not dealing with the issue. I'm dealing with a child.
Is this whole deal here one between one mum who, with her partner, are trying to bring up kids to the best of their ability? On the other hand, then you've got the state, which seems never mind children being needy. It's like the state is needy these days, and they need to be involved. And have we just got too much of that? I hear what you say, that children should have a voice, but on the other hand, do we? I mean, Struth, do we disallow parents? Do we have them sit an exam? I mean, do we need to give more trust to parents? Or
I think it works both ways. I think it really does work both ways. And in my case, I haven't been given a fair ride. It's not that at all. They believe in everything that a child says. And it's not just a matter of that. If she doesn't like it and I tell her off and she's grounded, and it has been noted before, she goes and tells school that I've smacked her, then I've got social services involved again. I'm in a no-win situation, and all I want is for my household and my children to be happy. And so I can't do this until it's sorted.
After the calm box, that time, then your daughter was still being what a lot of parents would probably call a right pain in the neck at home, and you gave her a smack. You say?
I have smacked my children in the past. Yes, I have. I won't deny it. I have.
I mean, I have to say, obviously it's all relative, it's all subjective, but what is wrong with that necessarily? Sometimes a bit of discipline is required, no? And who is the state?
I know. I feel that myself. I mean, my argument is, I was 18 when I left the hospital with my daughter. I wasn't given a handbook to say this is how you're a parent. So what gives them the goddamn right to tell me how to be a parent and bring my children up? And that is my argument.
So what has been the situation? You say that the social services got back involved when you gave your daughter a smack.
Yeah, I was things weren't good at home anyway. I was in a violent relationship at the time. So I understand them being called in.
Right.
But then I was out of that relationship. I got out of it. The social worker still asked my kids if they'd seen him when if he'd been round. How much do I drink was a question that she's recently asked my child. I believe your mum likes a drink. How much does she drink? Well, that's got nothing to do with her. If I drink, it's of a night time when my children are in bed and I'm relaxing, or it's after I've finished work and my kids aren't there, they're with the dad. So things like the questions that they should be asking, they don't. And the ones that they shouldn't be asking, they are. Now, she does ask if she can talk to the children alone. I have been under the impression that is her right to, if she wishes to do so. My children have also stated they don't want to talk to her at times, yet she still goes upstairs to speak to them, even when I specifically ask for her not to. They don't listen to the parent, and if they do, it's not by much.
They don't listen to the parent, and they don't listen to the children, from what you just said.
Well, they do listen to the children on the case of if your mum smacks and they've said it. Now, my child's gone to school and actually had them on speed dial, believe it or not.
So it's selective. It's selective listening. Yeah. They'll listen when there's some kind of problem there, but when the children don't want them involved, they don't listen. They ignore that. You're saying?
Yes, they have done now.
Right.
There was a pinnacle of a moment. It was quite a few years ago. My daughter had stabbed me with a screwdriver in the kitchen.
Oh, blimey.
In one of her outbursts, because I told her she was grounded. Now, this outburst started at quarter to 7 in the morning. It started when I was getting up for school.
Right.
She proceeded to not go in school. Now, the incident, I believe you've read about it, where she was admitted to hospital. Yeah. It went on till 11:30 that night. Now, in that day, I phoned social services, I phoned CAMS, I phoned the police, I phoned the school, I phoned everybody who passed me from pillar to post. You don't need to speak to us, you need to speak to them. You don't need to speak to them, you need to speak to them. And I also ended up with the out of hours social care team, to the point where I had to phone 999 when she stabbed me with a screwdriver and have the police called out, where they informed me, the ambulance service, that if she didn't go voluntarily, they would arrest her and take her. She was 9. And I had to make that decision.
If she didn't go voluntarily into the care of the state?
She didn't go voluntarily into the care of the ambulance that night because she was sat rocking. She could, like a lot of children who have a lot of things wrong with them, she was sat there rocking. She got to the point of she couldn't see anybody. She could look at you, but she was looking through you. You weren't there. She'd lost it.
Right.
So they said that if she didn't go into the ambulance with the ambulance crew and stay in hospital for the night to be assessed, they would have the police remove her and she'd be going with the police. And that was at 9 years old.
That doesn't sound to me like the kind of policy that's going to help the situation.
It doesn't. I mean, I've done everything they've asked of me. I've been on strengthening families courses. I've been on parenting courses. I've even had family workers come in, like a super nanny, so to speak. And the last one's come in and said, you know, I don't even need to tell you, Gemma, I've been here before and you're doing what you're doing and I'm happy with what you're doing. You're putting things in place. I mean, I've used the time out. I've used taking stuff away from them. Obviously, but my concern was at the time, if we do not sort this out with my eldest, it's going to travel down the other children. The other children will realise what she's doing and they're going to follow suit. To which they said it wouldn't happen, to which it is happening now.
Right, you've got 3 kids, and you're saying that the younger 2 are beginning to follow the tendencies of the eldest.
Of the eldest, which is telling me what they can and can't do. I can't do anything. Social worker says so. So when that's thrown in your face, what do you do?
Your bottom line is that the state is taking away, is neutering your power as a parent.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I mean, I've done things their way, and it was even. I went into my youngest daughter's primary school, who was also subsequently the head teacher of my eldest, and she even said, "This is the longest period of time we've got where she's not kicked off, Gemma," and that is when I was doing things my way and not theirs. So which one was working, mine or theirs? Because when theirs was in place, she was kicking off every fortnight, every week. I'm not being grounded. She was walking out the house whenever she felt like it, doing what she wanted, shouting at the other kids. Now, it can get violent with her, you know. She has got up in my face. Now, she's got up in my face before now. She's you know, shouted at me in my face. What I'm meant to do. She's my daughter. I can't show her that I'm backing down. I'm a mum. She adheres to my rules and the rules of my house. That is the way it is. There is a certain level of respect.
When I was growing up, it was called being cruel to be kind. I mean, it kind of made sense, no? It was pragmatic parenting.
Yeah.
Don't seem to be allowed to do that now. Carry on, carry on.
Sorry, it's just that when I have got to the point where I have smacked my children, let's just say in the past, it's got to the point where enough's enough. Enough is enough. I don't want my kids running around on the street, mugging old ladies, robbing cars. That is just not how it's done. I'm bringing my kids up to the best of my ability to have a bit of respect, a bit of morals, and a bit of respect for themselves. Never mind anybody else. And you have to have respect for authority, whether it be in your job, whether it be in school, whether it be in life. So if she can't get to the use of the idea where she has to be respectful for me, where's she going to go on in life? How's she going to go on in a job if she has no respect for authority or for herself and thinks she can do whatever she wants? She can't. There's a level of rules in this country that you have to follow. And I just want her to have a healthy life and a happy life. She's not going to get that while she's growing up like this.
I just want to introduce a few comments.
That's fine.
We can have a bit of a relaxed, Gemma, and we'll get back into it. Chris Ford, social services are a major problem. Mickey Mooster says, I'm here, Gemma. So that's a friend of yours.
That's my mum.
That's
it's
your
my mum.
Hey, Mickey Mooster.
Yes, it's my mum.
Christopher Michael Baxter. The Rochdale Social Services, utter fools, who routinely allow children to suffer while sanctimoniously smashing mothers and other families to pieces by wrongly ripping children away from parents with completely false and even meaningless accusations. This is the kind of thing that I've heard quite a lot of. Having them wrongly removed. Go on.
Can I just tell you a story about being wrongly removed, shall we say?
Go on.
we were getting ready to move from house to house regarding an incident that happened with my daughter. My son decided he was wearing wellies in the summer. Now, bear in mind, I've already been told off for the uniforms that the kids have been wearing. Bear in mind, I can't tell them off, so I'm on tether-ups whether I let them go as they are and I don't get in trouble, or I have to tell them. Now, wellies in scorching heat, I had to tell him. His shoes was on the box at the side of him, and I threw him at the side of him. He hit his feet. He went to school and said I hit him. The children were subsequently questioned in school, and I was told, do not go collect your children from school.
Do not?
Do not. They was taken away from me for a week, and that was Easter bank holiday, because I had to go for a full week without my children. I was told I weren't allowed to ring them. I even begged them and promised them that I would not mention anything about what was going on, because I said goodnight to my kids every night. Now, to have that and being told, no, you can't, but then I argued and I went to see a solicitor.
Your 3 kids?
All 3. And in fact, I decided where they went to, and I organised it, not them.
What do you mean?
I just knew
to a foster family for a week, or what?
No, they all went to the dads.
Right.
My children have different dads.
Right.
So I arranged for them to go to the dads. So I just knew that I weren't allowed to speak to them, I weren't allowed to see them. So in a blind panic, I've rung round and I've organised somewhere for them to stay. Now,
thank goodness, in your case at least, they had fathers that you're all talking with each other, presumably, for that to be possible. In a lot of cases...
The 2 youngest, yeah. The 2 youngest I do, yeah, but my eldest daughter's dad is not around, which is part of the problem of what she has. You know, she has issues.
There must be instances, Jemma. I'm just thinking there must be instances like that. What if there's no dad there? Or maybe grandparents? What if... What happens then? It's a lottery, isn't it? I mean, what happens to them? Sorry, carry on.
Sorry, I had to find somewhere for them. In my eyes, it was my job as a parent, whether they were going to be with me or not. I'm their mother. I'm the one that is meant to care for them and protect them. So that's exactly what I did. Whether I was allowed to or not, I sorted somewhere for them to stay. I was told I wasn't allowed any contact with them or supervised, till I argued the fact that even heroin addicts get contacts with their kids. So I wanted contact. I was allowed half an hour supervised while they came in my home on a Friday. And the only reason why it was a Friday and I was allowed was because they needed clothes to go to their dads with. That is the reason why. Other than that, I weren't allowed. I offered, because I had to be interviewed under caution in a police station, Rochdale police station. Bear in mind, they took them on a Wednesday here, and I had to wait for the police officer who was involved to question me. Subsequently, that was, because it was a bank holiday weekend, was the Wednesday after. I was without my children for a full week. Now, within that week, I did not receive one phone call of social services to see if I was okay. I could have been swinging off the rafters or took an overdose before they even knew.
Yes, you could.
And they did not contact me to phone me. Now, luckily enough, I have a great support network. I've got friends and I've got family. But if I didn't have anybody, and there has been cases like this where they've took children away and the mothers have had an overdose and they don't find out till later, and that is a sad story of it. But and I understand kids do need an authority there to help them out, but they're looking at the wrong kids. I don't abuse my children. I do. This is what they are on a child protection plan for at the minute, because I abuse them apparently by smacking them like I have in the past, and also because of the behaviour with my daughter.
This is something I got to say. I find it incredible that the power to smack your kids is taken away from parents, because the God's honest truth, in my case, once or twice, only once or twice, but I was described at school as being a disruptive child, and frankly, I was. After my parents divorced, I was really pissed off, and I was 7 years old. I was thrown into a boarding school. I hated it, absolutely loathed it, and I was there till I was about 12. And basically, I refused to go to that school anymore. And my father had to listen to me. Bless him. I loved him, but he was useless. He just wanted us to be older so that he could talk to us as adults and have a drink with us, probably. But I was described as. But what I'm saying is sometimes kids need a smack. I mean, it's just the way it is. I know that there's a worry that some parents will be overly abusive. What is your take on this, Jemma, as a parent with this kind of experience?
My take on this would be, I mean, I've had to physically restrain her before now, where she's where she's actually spat in my face. And I've sat on her. And I have said over the phone, don't get me wrong, out of temper. I am going to kill her if you don't come and get her. I have said those words, but it's been out of temper, of last despair. Now, I've said, and I've also said to social services, the law allows me to smack my child as long as I don't mark or bruise them.
Maybe though, Jemma, just to look at this from a different angle as well. Maybe my, if you like, my analogy is slightly wrong. Maybe. I mean, your daughter. Are you saying that you feel that she does have problems, genuinely problems, not problems that have just been made up by some hocus-pocus social services rhetoric, but you think that she genuinely has some sort of problems that need addressing, and maybe reasons that... Yeah. Go on.
I mean, I believe she does have problems. I believe she does. Now, from the age of 2 years old, she was 2, bear in mind. I told her no one day, and she smacked her head off the floor. Now, I was worried about this, and I told my health visitor, bear in mind I was 18 at the time. I told my health visitor, and I said, what do I do? She went, don't worry about it, she'll stop when she sees blood. So when I told her no the next time, she didn't stop. I had to put her teeth back in with milk. She knocked them out. So not only that, I knew there was subsequently something there. Now, I have always said I am not blaming my child's behaviour, and I'm not saying that I've been in the right half the time. I might have done things wrong. Like I said, nobody gives us the parent handbook, and we wing it through life. Nobody tells us how to be a parent. We do it on our own.
That's right.
So I have made mistakes, and I won't say I haven't made mistakes. I hold my hands up, but I want them to hold theirs up too, and they're accountable. I have been asking for this help with my daughter. Now, how can they say she fit on the autistic spectrum when she was in school kicking off? And they had to run loads of tests. She had a lot of workers in and out, in and out. They come, they go, they come, they go, they come, they go. They set her up for high school, and I've had nothing. This child is now in year 10. She is working at a national average, and she has just found out that she does have a learning difficulty, but they cannot put it in paper because there's nobody qualified to yet. Now, I would say I'm doing a damn good job as a mother if she's working at a national average with a learning difficulty. I would say I'm doing a damn good job. But my also excuse is, how far would she have got in life if I had had that help received back then when I was asking for it? How far would she have gone then? She'd have been past national average, and she would have been a better pillar of community and society, because at the end of the day, she'd have had the help there that she needed. And this is where it's failing. I've asked for this since she was in primary school. I'm 2 years old.
What sort of help? What sort of help, Jemma? What sort of help?
I've asked. I mean, her dad has a number of disabilities wrong with him, like you said, but they didn't diagnose him till he was 20s, in his late 20s. He has Asperger's,
right.
which is hereditary.
Yeah, is it?
She has, yeah, it is. But girls tend to hide it better than boys if they have it till they're about 14, 15, which is what my child is at right now, because of the hormones and everything. Now, when they're saying that she fit on the autistic spectrum, it was basically she couldn't deal with change. Certain things had to be lined up, certain things didn't. Now, when they did these tests and she said she had it, she then whipped the change round, you see, because I'd stopped work and I was living at home again constant, because I'd had to stop work for this. Now, when she was kicking off at home, she actually told them she felt better kicking off at home because she felt more comfortable doing it there. So she was storing it up in the school day and bringing it home with her. Now, when she was bringing it home with her, there was nothing wrong with her. She was just hormonal. It was a breakdown in her relationship. What is the difference? If you were saying my child's there and needing help, which I know underneath she does, whether it be a little thing or a big thing, it is not going to get fixed if I keep getting passed from pillar to post and nobody wants to take acceptance of it.
Jemma, what you're saying is that when she was basically playing up at school, she was being diagnosed for one issue, and when she was at home, she was being diagnosed. Sorry. Not just one. Okay.
It weren't just one. No, it was a number of things that they had to run through. They had to do different tests. Now the thing is, when you refer,
but she wasn't being diagnosed with the same problems when she was playing up at home as she was when she was playing up at school. Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying. I was told she was hormonal.
Why?
She was hormonal because she started a period at 9 years old, and I was told she was hormonal. That is my and it was. But
that would apply wherever she happens to be, whether it's at home or at school.
This is my argument. It's
obvious. I mean, it's physiological, isn't it? So they're saying that they're basically saying that she's got what they're actually kind of suggesting is that she's schizophrenic, that she's got a different character at one place and a different personality in another. But
Well, the best thing to
what's
describe
going on
my daughter,
there?
and
Why are
I'm
they
not saying
doing
she's
that?
got
Well,
it.
that sounds like social services are playing games. What's your take on that?
My take on that is, that this comes down against the Sky. I've just recently had a child protection meeting where they've been placed on a plan, all 3 children. I took my daughter into the meeting afterwards because she was kicking off in school, believe it or not. So I had her removed from school and I had her brought to me where I was having this meeting. Now, bear in mind, I'm having to walk out of this meeting, which I wasn't supposed to do, to deal with my daughter. I took her in to meet this independent chairman who deals with the meeting, and he asked her, and I'd not even spoke to her. He said, "What is it, Sky? What is it your mum does?" And do you know what her answer was? Out of the babes of the mouth, like they say, her answer was, "My mum does what she does, what social services tell her she does, and then they tell her she's doing it wrong." Now, that was said to the independent chairman out of her own mouth. I didn't speak to her. Now, if that can come out of a 14-year-old's mouth and she can play the services off like they're a fiddle, what chance do I stand?
Well, okay, we've got a few comments. First of all, Loopy Lou, Ruth Venn says, "Stay strong, Gemma. You're an amazing mum." Yeah. We got Beverly Taylor King. Social services, not just in Rochdale, but all across the UK, seem to have not got a clue what they're doing. There has been no diagnosis by a doctor or a specialist. The so-called services, who are supposed to help families in crisis, need to hang their heads in shame. Total incompetence.
I think they do. I think they do need to hang their head in shame, especially where I'm concerned, and I'll say it over and over again. I have asked for help. I have actually been to the point where I have actually asked for a Section 20 the last time she kicked off. Now, a Section 20, I'll explain, is voluntary care. Now, voluntary care means I can put my child in care in their placement, but I can pull her out at any point and get her back home. If they decide to take her, I can't do that. Now, the last time she kicked off, and it was aggressive between us, do you know what I mean? I actually asked for them over the phone, and the child exploitation team, Sunrise, actually agreed over the phone that I should have had a Section 20 and to get it signed off by my social worker and her manager. I rang her and I was crying down the phone for a Section 20. Please just give me a bit of a break. She told me she would not accommodate her. They will not accommodate her because I am a good mum and I just need to ride it out. Those were her words.
Your meeting when your daughter said to the chairman that basically my mum does what social services tell her to do, and that's it.
And then they tell her she's doing it wrong.
And then they tell her she's doing it wrong. So that was said to the chairman. Who was this person?
He was called Mr. Dooley.
And
he's very nice. He is very nice, actually. He is very nice.
I'm just wondering what kind of feedback you got from who was this group? Because this is another thing that I get. Just one sec, Gemma. Maybe you can explain. No, go blind, not at all. I get confused because it seems to me you are having to deal with so many different people, and I don't understand why you don't just have a care worker and your daughter's teachers. And that's it. Well, how many people are involved, and what is that in relation to that meeting where your daughter stood up and said that?
Not all the professionals were there. They'd already left by this point. They'd already ended the meeting and told everyone had already agreed they should go on child protection. And
all the professionals.
There was at least 8 professionals in that room because they were doing it on our children.
There was one professional mum. I know that. Yeah, what other professionals were there?
There was a school nurse who I've never even met. I've just spoke to her over the phone. I've never met her. Right. There was the children's Crossgates primary school head teacher, which was Jane Norton. She's also had my other 2 go through her school also. There was a teacher from Hollingworth Academy. There was somebody from Healthy Minds. Believe it or not, it was the manager who I have never, ever met. She did bring the woman who has diagnosed Sky, but she isn't qualified to put it on paper. She could have gone in that room because she has met Sky. Now, that was my argument. Why has that manager gone in? Now, I was also told Sky's file at Healthy Young Minds is that much of a mess that she had to hand it over, and that was 6 weeks previous, and we're told to sort it out, and it's still not sorted. She was also told that to have a worker in and I would have a meeting. They phoned me for a meeting and I had an appointment on the 13th of this month just gone. And they sent me a letter out on the 11th asking me not to bring my daughter. Now, that letter never arrived to me on time, so who did I take to the meeting with me? My daughter. So there's nobody actually communicating with any of them. The police should have been there, but they never went because they're too busy and they made their apologies. I had the chairman taking the meeting, the minutes of the meeting. There was a lot of people there. There was at least 8-9 people there, all professionals. I had somebody from Bridge come. Now, Bridge is a relief service that I get once a fortnight with my daughter. She goes and stays for the fortnight there to give us both a bit of a break, and it works.
Bridgecom. What is that, like bridging the community sort of thing?
It's called Bridgefold House, and it's where they give children a respite service as well as the parents.
Right.
And that's what I get once a fortnight.
What does that mean?
That just means that she goes and stays with them for the weekend once a fortnight. Okay. And they do stuff with her. They do well, it's not, I won't say lessons, but they talk to her. They see how she's feeling. If there's anything that they can help with, if she's struggling in school, they'll help with that. And they do. But she also has to do chores there, and there's also rules there. So they do have to do a number of things, like e.g. either cook a meal or wash up. Just normal things I have in my household. That's stuff that she doesn't want to do.
Yeah, because that's often the case, isn't it? Us kids, whoever we are, and whatever age we are, we tend to behave very differently with everybody else apart from our parents.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, you see. I mean, I don't tend to be a best friend, but I don't tend to overparent her either. I want my kids to talk to me. I want them to open up. But there's if there's no level of respect there, where's it coming from? Now, I've tried everything in my power. Now, I'm a single mum right now of 3 children. And what's going to happen is if you keep poking a lioness, she's going to answer back to you. And at the end of the day, they keep poking with my children. Yes, I have shouted at them before now because they don't listen. This is my children. This is my life. I've shouted at soldiers. I've thrown them out of my house before now because they are not listening. They are not.
How did they respond to that?
I'm coming across aggressive and they won't deal with me, which is another reason why my children are on child protection. Because I am aggressive officials. I am not aggressive. I do come across where I could be, but I am fighting for my children here.
I can hear that. I can hear it in your voice.
I mean, I've done this, and I've been on my own since I was 19. I was married. I've had, obviously, 2 other children, and now I am on my own. And I am trying to bring them up where they do have a lot of respect for the community, and they do get fed well. They help home cook food. I'm not one of those, I'm not one of those who'll just leave the kids to play out and go out myself and they'll come on whenever they want. It's not about that. They have to have a structure. They have to have a routine, and education is important. It is very important.
It sounds as though you have a very understanding attitude towards social services and are almost encouraging in what they do, but
no,
that
I'm not.
Let me finish, Jemma. And please contradict me as you will. But on the other hand, that they've just gone way too far, and
that's the one.
Is that a fair analysis, or am I wrong in any aspect of that? I don't want to put any words in your mouth.
You don't have to put words in my mouth. I can have them with my thought on my own. I do believe.
I've noticed that. Good on you.
They are picking, and I'm only saying this, I believe, in my opinion, they are picking things that will look good on statistics on their books. Now, I know of heroin addicts that have their children dropped off by social services when they've took the kids out, and they are actually scoring on the corner for their gear. But yet they are breathing down my neck who is trying to bring up her child right. They are picking stuff that looks good on paper for their statistics. They can't turn around and say, can they, well, we've took this many children off these many parents this year. It doesn't look good, especially with everything that was going on. Now, my social worker told me the rules are changing on their side constantly from the baby P incident. It changes daily, so even they don't know where they're up to. So if they don't know where they're up to, how the hell am I meant to know where they're up to? And yet they're trying to tell me how to parent my children. This is where it comes at a standstill.
I'm going to come back to that. I've got 1 or 2 other comments here. I've got Debbie Shaw. I have almost been destroyed by social services. Debbie was on this show a few weeks ago. Lovely woman. Yeah. She also is a professional carer. So she sees this from all angles. I'm a full-time carer, she says. They are the most evil group, social services, when they choose to be.
And they chose, yeah. I mean, I'm not being funny. My low point, I was 21 and I was pregnant. They put me through that much stress. I was in hospital for 3 months with my son, not knowing whether I'd be in and out of hospital the next day or not. I had him 3 weeks early, and they got me through that much of a low point. I was sat in the bathroom with a bottle of pills.
Debbie says, actually, also, I turned into a lioness. They took my youngest child away. Be careful. How can you resolve your situation, Jemma? Can you? Into a situation whereby you feel that you have a family life, which is the life of your family and nobody else, provided nobody's doing any harm to anybody. That's basically the bottom line. Just being a reasonable person. And
do you know that's going to work?
How might that situation come about? Can it?
Of course it can. Of course it can. Every household can. But do you know that's going to come about for me? That's going to come with my daughter being diagnosed and put on paper like it should have been all those years ago for her to receive that help. Because what is the point in plastering over a crack when it's still fizzing through? You're not actually dealing with the problem. Now, the problem is my child needs this help, and I've been begging for it for years. Now, until we deal with this, until we have it, then we can learn to move on. Okay. And then we might be able to do with anger issues too. But she's not going to learn how to deal with her anger issues if she's not getting the help that she needs for it.
If she's being misdiagnosed.
Yeah.
At that meeting, this is bringing us up to date. Yeah. That most recent meeting when your daughter said basically, whatever my mum does is wrong according to social services. That's pretty much up to date. Yeah.
Yes.
Does anybody in that meeting hear what you're saying and empathize with mum?
No, they all made the thing is, right, when you go to a meeting like that, you have to have notes, and it is a report of what everybody has written. Yeah. They have those reports at least 48 hours in advance. Now, I should have them 48 hours in advance, but I don't get them 48 hours in advance. I get them either on the day or 24 hours before. Now, when these professionals have never met me, they have already made that first impression off paper. So when they are asked if they should go on child protection, from reading what you have in front of you, I look like Moira Hindley, to be honest. And it sounds like World War III in my home. But it isn't. I mean, when Sky's good, she is so good. She's such a lovely girl. She's got a heart of gold.
You know what? I have to tell you.
She has a low points.
I got to say, that I had the most horrendous rows with my mother when I was about the age of your daughter. I mean, the language was off the scale. It was really, really bad. But the bottom line is that she did the best that she could. And I was doing the best I could as an idiot young teenager, and that's just the way it was. But there's no doubt in my mind that had some Social Security's busybody really, with basically had a bad day or whatever, or just not the nicest person in the group, had come round, they could have had me taken away from my mother. There's no doubt in my mind about it. That doesn't, and actually, I could tell you some stories also that sound really quite bad. But the fact is, it was not easy bringing me up, and from my point of view, it wasn't easy educating my parents either. Yeah, this is social services. On the other hand, other people would say, we hear a lot of abuse cases. We need a strong social services. How do we bridge this gap? How do we? This is a problem that we have, a quandary, eh, Jemma?
Yeah, the problem is you need somebody that cares. Somebody that cares, because at the end of the day, it's okay for them to go and shut the door at the end of the day with a nice little perfect family. I have to live my life. Now, I've had it where my social worker's put her phone in the drawer, and I've been phoning her at 3:45 for help. She has put that phone in a drawer and ignored it and gone home.
She's put what in the drawer? Sorry.
She's put her mobile phone in the drawer at work and gone home at 3:45.
This is the person that you are being told this is the person that you can rely on, that you can talk to.
Well, I'm meant to rely on, yeah. But not only that, she's also told my children stuff that even I don't know about. Why is she telling my children of 7 and 11 they are going on a child protection plan, they are getting a new social worker, and how much am I drinking at home?
Okay. Yeah.
7 and 11. My youngest daughter's 7.
Yeah.
And she goes to the school to speak to her. And she told her. Now I had a conversation with my ex-partner.
What did she tell her?
Well, my daughter was in the car with her dad on the way home. Now he doesn't answer the phone while he's driving. He puts it on loudspeaker so he can answer the phone.
Right.
Now, to which she did not know my daughter was in that car. She has told her dad that there's going to be a child protection plan put in place. Now, Scarlett's chirped up. She's also then carried on that conversation, knowing she's in the car, telling him that they are going to get a new social worker. Now, she's also said this to my son too. And then when I pulled her up on it over the phone, she said, I haven't said that. So to which I have actually rung my ex-partner back up and said, she's telling me you're a liar. Now one of us is lying. So it looks like it makes me think, are the kids lying and my ex is lying, or is the social services lying? And then I get to the point where I don't know who I can trust. Who can I trust then? And then I'm worrying about, if I don't do things their way, are they going to come in and take my children? You know, so do I have to let my children get away with everything just sort of to keep things happy at home, because I'm scared that they're going to take them out of the home like they did last time? That is where the fear lies in. So it's not about anything else. It's the fear of having your kids took away from you for something that isn't your fault when you're trying to bring up your kids the best that you can.
You know, I mean, what you say just it makes sense. I realise that there are problems with parenting, of course. Any child that doesn't must have had an incredibly lucky childhood.
Well, I was lucky. I mean, my dad was born in 1921, so he was one of the older guys. He actually was in World War II and fought for this country. So I was brought up with morals and respect the old-fashioned way. Yeah. Now, I'm not being funny. I want my kids to have the same morals. There are too many kids that think the world owes them a right, and it doesn't. You have to work for what you get. You have to be thankful for what you've got. And at the moment, I'm thankful that I've still got all my children in my home.
I'm going to read you some of these comments, and particularly these from Debbie, because she's a lovely girl, and she knows what you're going through. You sound like a lovely mum. I know about fear, girl. My disabled daughter is 32, and I still live in that terror of that abuse of power. Look at that little baby they were trying to save. The parents were not free to choose to take them out of the country. What exactly are parents? Okay, this is the recent the recent story, and basically the state and the doctors overruled the parents and denied them the opportunity to seek possible treatment in the United States. Even the Pope got involved, didn't he? And said,
do you know what my answer to that is? Who gives them the goddamn right to tell them how to have their child? That is their child. They made that child. Right. That mother carried that child for 9 months. Yeah. That mother went through labour. And I'm not being funny. That is their child. That should be their right, what they decide to do, whether that baby needed that help or not, whether the baby needed the medicines or not. Why not us as a country stand by people like this? Now, I had a stepson who had disabilities, who died subsequently through his disabilities. He had a fit one day and choked on his tongue. Now, who gives them the right to tell them how they should let their child die? Did they bring them into the world? No, they didn't. Now, every parent, as heartbreaking as that is, and as heartbreaking as they have got to go through that heartbreak of doing that little baby's funeral. That is the worst that you could ever put on a parent. So who gives them that last right to take away from them how they should do that as parents? That is the one last thing that they could do for their baby, and it was took away. That's wrong.
I agree with you. I found the fact that whole deal with that little kid was strewn across the mainstream media, very distasteful as well. It's like, I mean, I know why I was there, because the parents wanted somebody to listen to them, but the fact is that the parents, it should have been, it's entirely up to them. I mean, yeah, you either trust parents or you don't. And yeah, sure, there has to be, maybe there does have to be some sort of a middle line, and we know that. Well, now, my guest here, Jemma, is from Rochdale, and we know that in Rochdale some terrible things have been going on, grooming kids and all the rest of it. We're children, they do need to be looked after by the state too. But the bottom line has to be with the parent.
That is the fear at the end of the day. My daughter's 14. She's turning 15 now. I'm not being funny. She's not your usual 14-year-old. She is more than 5'8". She is in a size 14 clothes, and she has a very large chest, shall we say. Now, with everything going on in Rochdale at the minute, do you not think that's a fear for my child to be out on the street? If I'm telling her to get home, she should be at home. End of. She should be at home, and she should be coming home. There's too much going on and everything being swept under the carpet. Now, one comment I did make in a meeting, and the comment was, you might have failed the girls of Rochdale, but I'm not failing my daughter. And they didn't take too kindly to that comment.
Your MP is that guy John Lloyd, though, no, who was in charge of the child abuse scandal, which basically he covered it up. He covered it up. He didn't do anything about it. He ignored the kids. You know, three girls. That amazing documentary on the BBC about the Rochdale child abuse scandal involving the Pakistani taxi drivers, kebab shop owners, and all that. And it turns out that this is going on all over the country too. And of course we know that it's all sectors of society that we've got this paedophile issue going on. Yeah. But this chief constable, John Lloyd, he said, basically, I'm not interested. Said this for years, according to Sarah Rowbotham, who was the sexual health worker in the area who tried to publicize this story. I invited her on this show, by the way. She didn't come on, but she knows that she's very welcome. And I want to ask her, because I heard that she had supported John Lloyd, who this miserable man who covered up what was going on in Rochdale. That I understand that she supported him to be the Labour MP for Rochdale, and he is now. Why did the Labour Party want somebody who condoned paedophilia effectively? Why do they want him to be?
Yeah, well, I'd like to answer that.
Sorry, I'm going off.
Sorry
Jemma,
about that. I'd like to answer that.
Please do.
I'll tell you now, I don't vote. And do you know why I don't? Because the biggest liar on the day gets the vote.
Tony Lloyd. Chris Baxter says Tony Lloyd. Because at the end of the day,
we're going through, us in Rochdale, we're going through cuts at the minute. The hospital's being cut, the policing's being cut. There are cuts being made to NHS services, to NHS staff nurses who are losing their jobs, nurses who are having to pay for their teaching into nurses, training nurses. Now, these are the people we should be helping, these nurses. Elderly's it's all being cut. Now, what can I actually say? Is it being cut in London? No, it isn't. It's us, and we have to fight for every little thing that we've got and every scrap that we're given. So do you know what? If somebody's giving us a little bit of hope, we're clinging on to it. So that's probably why. She's probably felt like in some sort of sense he could help, and he hasn't ended up helping. So, you know, there's not... If it weren't for her, this would never have even all come out. If it weren't for people
I agree.
Like her,
I agree with that. I agree with that.
There's also people with hidden agendas too. So somebody could tell you one thing and tell you something else later on, which is exactly what social services do with me. They tell me one thing and then tell me something else later on. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we can put our trust into people. Maybe it's not the right thing in the right way at times, but what it is the need of people who are on a level-headed or down to earth with the rest of us. You know?
Can you trust your MP, Jemma?
No. I won't trust him with my dog, to be honest with you, in my opinion.
Why?
Wouldn't trust him with my dog, because they all lie at the same spec, and yet all of a sudden you can't find out where he is on this grooming scandal thing. If anything, everybody should be behind it. It's not just about the Pakistani men or the Indian men or anything like that. It goes on. There is good and bad in every race. It is just here in Rochdale we seem to have a Pakistani men issue grooming gang. Yeah. That is all it is. We do have problems. There is good and bad in every race, and everybody shouldn't be tarred with the same brush, because the world is different. You know, there is differences in the world, and that's why it makes us great. But at the end of the day, you can't just blame one sector of it. We have, as in Rochdale, a problem with the Pakistani grooming scandal. I admit that. But what about the white men that do it as well?
Yeah, well, Cyril Smith was the MP there, wasn't he?
The biggest, and he was the biggest one of all. You know, you don't have an opinion
in many senses.
That it is. Yeah, bring up the past. Let's have the past of it all. What about Cyril Smith? He was white. You know. What about Jimmy Savile? He was white. It's not just against the Pakistan. I mean, like I said, good and bad in every race, and there seems to be a lot that have used the taxis and the kebab shops as enticement into getting these kids into them, which is very wrong. And I know it's still going on, because I was told about a taxi driver that pulled up near Syke on the moors with a girl inside. She ran off, and when the police come, he told him it was his wife and they was having tea. But because there was no girl, there could be no case. So it is still going on. But it needs, if we have it all brushed under the carpet and nobody addresses it, it doesn't just go away. The problem gets bigger. We need to contain the problem. We need to say, look, we're not standing up for it, even as a community. Whether we be black, white, purple, yellow, pink with spots, we're not going to accept this behaviour into our community. And this is what I am scared for my daughter. If she wanders off out the house late at night and I can't go after her, I can't ground her, what am I going to do? She is a vulnerable child then at risk, and she's in a woman's body, which is even more scarier.
Yes, it is. I agree. Are you able to have any kind of conversation with your daughter to warn her about this kind of stuff, or is the relationship broken down that that's not possible?
No, like I said, when we have good days, we have good days. And do you know what? Majority of the time it is good, but you can see it festering and fizzling if she's getting into trouble. What she does, if I have to tell her off, she then kicks off and disperses. So whatever trouble she's in then gets forgotten about, if you understand.
Yes.
Now, I have sat down and I made my child, well, I didn't make her, she wanted to watch it. I made her watch The Three Girls, and I made her watch The Betrayed Girls as well. I've got them both on keep on my Skype.
The Betrayed Girls was the documentary that came a few weeks after.
Was the documentary. Right. Yes, it was. And I have it recorded and I have it kept, so it isn't deleted off. And I do go back and I do talk about it, because at the end of the day, it is not acceptable. The behaviour is not acceptable. Even if somebody, no means no. No means no. But
what about your youngest two, Gemma? I mean, how old do you feel the need to start telling them about this horrid stuff?
I've started telling them, but I also know that you have to be age appropriate. My 7-year-old, I wouldn't go into detail like I do with my 14-year-old.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. I tell her there are good people and bad people in this world, and I also tell her no means no. Nobody should be touching you where you don't want them to touch you. Holding hands, you know. If you say no, it means no. And I also do stranger danger too, because I am scared for my kids. I am scared in this world. There's just less police around. I mean, we're having to do stuff ourselves to keep our children in place. You know,
are they being taught this stuff at school as well, Gemma? I mean, you mentioned about stranger danger. What part does the school play in teaching our kids to basically look after themselves?
Well, Crossgates is very, very good. I can say that for a start. They are very good, and they do about stranger danger and stuff. And if there's any incidences in Rochdale, there is a text message sent out to every parent in that school regarding it. If there's any, obviously we've had reports before where there's cars being attempted child abductions, whether it be in a high school or a primary school, every parent is sent a text message to warn them. So we're already on high alert anyway. And I think even with this grooming scandal, the finger being about, it's made us parents more aware of what's going on. I don't allow my children to go in a taxi on their own unless say like the eldest is with them, the youngest gets dropped off first, and then the eldest and then my son at the same time at the school if I am running late or I have no car. Now also I know that person who is picking my child up in that taxi too. Yeah, I always make sure it's the same driver every time. Which I've also known him since I was younger. So it is about putting things in places, but I also believe there should be a DNA. They should offer their DNA to be put on a system. That way, if anything,
the kids,
taxi drivers, teachers, anybody involved with children or anything else, that way it will wheedle out anything that happens. If there is a paedophile in the case and they take the DNA and they pop up for that DNA has been taken on a case, you've got them. All the ones that slip out of the system, if anything happens, you've got them with the DNA on the file. So if anything, I'm not saying it should be used against them, but I'm just saying it should be on there to protect our children more than anything. And if there were anybody going into that sort of work or a teacher, they'd be happily willing to give it up if they've got only teaching on the mind.
Gemma, just in summary, what can you do, or what can social services do? What message would you like to send to these various folks that basically would make sense? A message from a parent who feels chastised and who worries about losing her kids and whose kids have been taken away, at least for a temporary point of.
I know.
What would be your final message to?
My final message would be to get your heads from up your backsides and realise who are the children in danger. You know, there are some real children in danger out there, and you are.
Is it not the case that there are 1,400 young girls in Rochdale that have been abused? There's some sort of statistic along those lines. 1,400 in Rochdale. I'm just making the point that what you say makes sense. There's a lot of. Debbie Shaw agrees with you 100% about DNA and people working with all vulnerable people. That's children, disabled and elderly. Carry on. Sorry, carry on, Jemma. I know I interrupted you.
All I want to do is say, don't work against me. Work with me. Listen to me. I'm the parent. I'm living with them 24 hours a day. They're not. They're doing a 9-to-5 job when they're picking up a case when they can be bothered. Now, I'm saying, get your heads from up your backsides and decipher from what's real and what's not. Don't chastise us parents who are having, which I'm not saying I don't need help. I probably do need some help with my eldest along the way. But, don't come down on us like a ton of bricks because it suits you and it suits your statistics. Help us. I feel like I'm being put down constant. I've sat there and even said I feel like a bad mum, and I'm doing the best I can. But they make me feel so low and my self-esteem's gone. I fear every time they come. You know what I mean? I'm running around everywhere, making sure that everything's just right for them. Now, when I was in an abusive relationship, they told me he was an abuser. Now, the way I see it is they've just come my abusers. So why am I allowing it off them?
What was that? Sorry. When I didn't understand that last sentence, Jemma.
Oh, please. Sorry. I was saying that when I was in a domestic violent relationship,
right?
They tried opening my eyes at first to say what would happen, but obviously I couldn't see. Now, when I could see, and they were saying he was an abuser, he was trying to control me. Yes, right. He was trying to control me financially, emotionally, physically. Right. Basically, they have turned into my abusers because emotionally they are abusing me. I'm breaking down. I'm crying.
Social services.
That's not who I am. Yeah, I mean, reading the reports, you read. I mean, I just want to break down. I mean, I break down and cry at the slightest thing now and then I get them telling me I'm depressed and I need to see my doctor. I should be put on pills. No, I don't need to be put on pills. I need you to give me a bit of breathing space instead of breathing down my neck, constant telling me what I'm doing wrong when all I'm doing is bringing my children up. I'm not saying that they're not fed kids.
I do wonder. I look at the States and it's like a Prozac society and we seem to be turning into that in the UK more and more. I do wonder how much of this is just trying to shut people up. Just, put them on drugs, tell them to shut up. We can... control their kids, turn them into a good, politically correct units of tax production and maybe cannon fodder in Syria or something. I do wonder how much of this is actually a plan, frankly, to destroy the nuclear family. And we've seen it in so many different ways over the last few decades. And to try and incarcerate all of us in this kind of debt slavery. I don't know. I mean, that's probably something for another topic. But Jemma, it sounds to me as though do you not feel a little conspired against, or do you think that this is just ineptitude?
Yeah, I do. I think it's done because it looks good on paper. But what I also believe is,
you think it's about targets. You think it's about targets.
Not every labour, not every pregnancy is the same. Not every child is the same. Not every adult is the same. That's what makes us different and great and who we are. So why are they coming trying to tell every parent how to parent from a textbook that they've got? We wasn't given a book when we left the hospital with the child. We were told it needs feeding, needs changing, needs bathing, needs whatever. There's your child, off you go. You've made it, go. We didn't get told that's how you parent. So who gives them the goddamn right to tell us how to parent our children?
I want to say... Oh, blimey, that's not working. A big thank you to Jemma Greasley. Jemma, thank you. Thank you
for having me.
I would like an update, please. I hope you'll come back on and talk to me again. I'll tell you what, talk for Britain, this girl.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're wonderful.
Thank you.
It's a pretty tough topic, eh? You've been watching The Daily Brexit with me, Olly Connelly. Thank you very much indeed for joining us and for joining the conversation. And I'll be back on Tuesday. Actually, on Tuesday, I think we've got a special show about migration on Tuesday. And I think that it starts at 6. Yeah, 6 p.m., not 5. Changing the slot. I'll keep you up to date with this, and if I get any word from social services in Rochdale too, I'll open forum. I want to say, Jemma Greasley, a brave woman. Thank you very, very much. thanks everybody for taking part in the comments and what have you. I'm going to be on there now. Hi, Susan Percival. Hey, thank you very, very much, all of you. Have a bloody good weekend. Here's to us, and bugger plutocracy.